like to call to order the Committee of the Whole meeting, this very special meeting today, April 27th, 2026 at 4:30 p.m. First order of business is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. It can be claimed now or anytime during the meeting. And our next order of business is our delegations, and it's the Doctor Appreciation Celebration. First, I'd like to begin by welcoming everyone to today's meeting and to the special recognition. Thank you to our physicians and guests for taking the time to be here with us today. In Ontario, Doctors' Day is officially recognized on May 1st each year, and we felt it was important to take a moment during today's meeting of council to acknowledge and thank the physicians who serve our community. In a small town like Atikokan, we understand how important access to healthcare is. We also understand how fortunate we are that we have a strong group of physicians who not only provide care, but who are committed to this community and the people who live here. So before we recognize those in attendance, I want to acknowledge a few physicians who are not able to join us today. And as we do in council, when you're not here, we talk about you. So we're going to talk about the people that aren't here. First, I would like to recognize Dr. Joanne Spencer. Last year marked an incredible milestone, 35 years of service to Atikokan, having begun her career practice here in 1990. So on behalf of the town, we extend our sincere thanks to Dr. Spencer for her long-standing dedication and service. Next, Dr. Miner, after living in Atikokan and working as a teacher, went on to become a physician and chose to return here to practice. He continues to live here and raise his family in the community he calls home. And now, we'd like to recognize the physicians that are here with us today. We'll begin with the newest physician, Dr. Michelle Hebert. Oh, also, before that, I'd also like to recognize Dr. Lyon, who continues to demonstrate a strong commitment to providing high-quality health care in Atikokan. And now, we would like to recognize the physicians who are with us today. We would like to begin with our newest physician, Dr. Michelle Hebert. Is that correct pronunciation? Yes, Hebert. Hebert. Are we going around, Jason? Would you like to come up, doctor? And no more than 10 minutes speech. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I would like to call up Dr. Melanie Rodriguez. Yes. Next is our hometown boy, Dr. John Fotheringham.
Thanks so much.
And last but not certainly least, Dr. Sarah Vanderloo. Dr. Vanderloo has been practicing in Atikokan since 2005, over 20 years of service to our community. She and her husband have raised their family here, reflecting a strong personal commitment to our community. Let's Dr. Vanderloo come up. you. It's important to recognize that both Dr. Spencer and Dr. Vanderloo played a critical role during a time when our community was down to just 2 physicians. Their dedication and commitment helped sustain healthcare services in Atikokan during a very challenging period, and their efforts laid the groundwork to where we are today. This current group of physicians also played a key role in recruitment. Quite simply, they are the best ambassadors that we could ask for. The way they support one another and the environment they had helped create have made Atikokan an attractive place to practice medicine. The kind of stability is important in a small town, and it makes a real difference for the people who rely on their services. So on behalf of council and the town of Atikokan, I want to thank all our physicians, past and present, for your service, your professionalism, and your commitment to this community. And before I turn it back to CEO Young, I'd just like to say we travel quite a bit to different conferences throughout the province, and the doctor recruitment, doctor shortage always comes up, is always a big topic. And I sit with people and they say, how many doctors do you have in your community? And I kind of sheepishly say 7, and they were like, what, 7? How big's your town? I said about 3,000, and they're like, oh my God, like, we have 3 for a town of 10,000, or we have 2 for a town of 5,000. So we are very lucky to have everybody. And as I said earlier, it's the commitment of the doctors that are the recruitment drivers, because doctors want to come to a community where they're going to have a team to work with, and they're not going to be the person that has to be there 24/7. And so having the number of doctors we have is a boon for us, and we really appreciate what you guys do for us. So Jason, I'll turn it over to you.
Your ongoing work continues to support healthcare in our community, and it's played an important role in getting us to where we are today. I also want to recognize the staff at the clinic. We appreciate everything you do behind the scenes to keep things running. Suzanne and Kathy at Shout Media, our museum curator, Patty, and clinic staffers, Nuala and Kim, #Circle of Trust. They all played key roles in designing the wall of doctors that you see here today. We're looking forward to finding that display finding its permanent home in the lobby of the clinic building. I encourage everyone to take a look once it's installed. Thanks to our clerk, deputy clerk, as well as town staff for assistance in getting today put together. We're also very fortunate to have local talented people and businesses in our community, and a great example of that is Amy Boylo and Lisa Morden, who provided the excellent treats today, and Spencer Meany at XY Paddles for creating the custom cutting boards and the paddles, which turned out pretty amazing. Most of all, I want to thank our physicians. Thank you for choosing to practice in Atikokan. We understand that working in a small community comes with its own challenges. It's not always easy, and I'm sure even something as simple as picking up groceries can turn into a conversation about someone's health when all you're trying to do is get through your list. And while there's always other communities trying to recruit and attract physicians, I want you to know that we do not take for granted the fact that you have chosen to be here. Doctors Day may be officially recognized once a year, but in Atikokan, it's something we recognize every day. Now I'd like to take this opportunity to ask Jennifer Learning, the President and CEO of the Atikokan Health and Community Services, to come up and say a few words. Jen?
Good afternoon. So it's a privilege to stand before you today and recognize the extraordinary contributions of our family physicians. Over the past 14 years, I've had the honor of working alongside many of you and witnessing firsthand the evolution of physician care in our community. I've seen us move through periods of stability, times of significant challenge with reliance on locum coverage, and ultimately a return to a strong and committed physician complement. Through each of these phases, one constant has remained: your unwavering dedication to the people that we serve. Family medicine has changed profoundly over the past decade, particularly in the years following the pandemic. The expectations placed on physicians continues to grow, as does the recognition that you are truly at the core of our healthcare system. Your voices are essential, your expertise invaluable, and your time increasingly in demand. In a small community like ours, being a physician extends far beyond the clinic walls. It means answering calls at all hours, supporting colleagues in times of urgent need, and being a trusted presence in everyday moments, whether in the hospital, on the street, or at the local grocery store. This level of commitment requires not only professional excellence, but also personal sacrifice. It's a calling that impacts not just you, but your families as well, and we recognize the shared dedication that makes your work possible. The scope and complexity of rural medicine today are remarkable. The breadth of knowledge, the advanced skills many of you bring, including specialized competencies such as point-of-care ultrasound, and the continuous commitment to maintaining the expertise reflect on exceptional standard of care. Healthcare today is more regulated, more complex, and more demanding than ever before, and yet you continue to meet these challenges with professionalism and compassion. Our community is often told how fortunate we are to have such a strong group of physicians, and that is undeniably true. But I also believe this is a reflection of something deeper, a shared commitment to building a community where physicians feel valued, supported, and connected. We are proud that you have chosen to make your professional and personal homes here. On behalf of our hospital and the broader community, I want to express our sincere gratitude for your dedication, your compassion, and your tireless service. You make a profound difference in the lives of your patients and in the strength of our healthcare system. Thank you for all that you do. We are honored to work alongside you and look forward to continuing this important work together for many years to come.
Thank you, Jen. So to close out, if you could turn your attention to the screen behind me, we have one last piece we'd like to hopefully share.
Physicians who have come through the town as well, including those who are in the early stages of their career, myself included. I wish you both all the best, and I hope you enjoy the Doctors' Day celebrations. Take good care. Bye now.
Congratulations, Dr. Spencer, on your 35 years of service. That seems like an excessive amount of time, but you know, you do you. And congratulations, Dr. Vanderloo, for your 20 years of service. Much more reasonable. You should retire really soon. Anyways, congratulations to both of you. And yeah, I miss you guys. Just a little.
I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person today, but I want to take a moment to recognize the life-changing work each of you do for the people of Atikokan and the surrounding area. Today we are celebrating 7 physicians who provide incredible care to this community each and every day. Practicing medicine in a small northern town comes with real challenges. You're often asked to do more, take on broader responsibilities, and be there when it matters most. In communities like Atikokan, physicians are more than healthcare providers. You are trusted members of the community who people rely on through every stage of life. I'd like to sincerely thank Dr. Joanne Spencer for over 35 years of service and Dr. Sarah Vanderloo for over 20 years. Your long-standing commitment to this community is deeply appreciated. I also want to recognize Dr. Jonathan Fotheringham, Dr. Sean Miner, Dr. Nelson Lyon, Dr. Melanie Rodriguez, and Dr. Michelle Hebert for the important work you do each and every day serving the people of Atikokan. Your work does not go unnoticed, and it makes a meaningful difference for individuals, families, and the entire community. Thank you for your continued dedication, your professionalism, and for choosing to serve Atikokan. I also want to thank the Township of Atikokan for recognizing these physicians and the important role they play in keeping the community strong and healthy. Thanks for everything.
Finally, to wrap this up, I'm just wondering if everyone would stand up and give a round of applause to our physicians.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next order of business. I know it's very riveting and everybody would just love to hear what goes on at council meetings, but you're welcome to stay or you're welcome to leave. We won't be offended if you don't stick around, so.
Thank you for coming.
And while we're waiting, I just want to thank for Jason. He thanked a lot of people for helping out, and it was very much appreciated. But Jason really was the driver on this, so I'd just like to thank Jason for putting this all together as well.
And the lady who made the cookies.
And with that being said, I'll turn it over to CAO Young for the CAO report. Go ahead, Jason.
Thank you, Mayor. As a part of your agenda package, we have the updates for April 2026. Lots going on. We're quite busy. All the departments' heads are here. If you have any specific questions that you'd like to direct to them.
Any questions on Jason's report? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. In the landfill there, it says that the town supplied the trucks for stockpiling.
Yeah, we did. We had some trucks out there as part of the agreement for the work that we were doing in the landfill. Not like for out at the mine site, but we excavated another cell and we brought the trucks in to haul it away.
So we didn't actually haul anything from Kalen then?
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Tyler. And my second question would be to Jason, I'm assuming. The tipping fees for this project, how far are they used up to?
So the amount in the report is a running total for the CPROC project specifically. There's a little bit, it's actually a bit of a larger number, we just haven't billed them yet. In regards to percentage of completion, if I understand the question.
How much money have you, of the tipping fees, are spent or have been assigned to how far ahead?
So are we talking about the revenue gain?
Yes.
So the revenue realized, as the report says, it currently sits at 1.3 million. There's an estimated amount of 4 million for the total is 4 million. So we're not quite half there in regards to revenue.
So you have allocated half of the expected monies already?
So as part of the 2026 budget, the full revenue is realized. So it's not so much of when we get it, we have budgeted to realize the full amount of the project. So when we presented the 2026 budget, it was the full amount that we expect to realize through the project. And that's what helps balance the budget, if you will.
I'm not following it. You have spent
Oh, no, this isn't expenses. This isn't what we've spent. This is the revenue that we've gained as far as tipping fees. If you're wondering about our expenses, we would have to look at that. And technically, there's expenses running the landfill. There are expenses that we incur in the handling of some soils, and as Tyler said, a little bit of the work in there. That would have to be drawn out if you were looking for something specific.
I would like no more monies of the tipping fees spent past what you've already got.
So maybe Brandy could explain the budgeting process and the revenues.
Because I don't see no transparency.
So all the money that we expect to realize as per the contract for this year is in this year's budget. I believe some of the revenue was allocated to last year's budget because it occurred in '24. Like, I think there was a little bit that was allocated to 2025 because that's when it was realized. But the amount we expect to realize this year is in our current budget.
Jason just said that you have allocated $2.5 million already.
No, we've
Did I hear
allocated
that
the
correct?
full contract. No, we've allocated the full contract, which was just over the $4 million. So when we look at the budget, so when we do the budget, let's say there's funding. Well, we don't necessarily receive that funding until maybe later in the year, but on the books, we know that that money's coming, and we use that to balance the budget. So it's not as specific as you said, money in and money out. It can't work that way in a municipality. It's totals, right? So we know that at the end of the year, if everything is played out the way it should, our revenues for this specific project will be around $4 million. And that revenue is dispersed throughout the entire budget to pay for operations and wages, and it's not allocated specific to the landfill. It can't be.
No, I totally agree. And I don't believe,
Unless I'm not understanding your question.
I'm not understanding your answer. Maybe Sarah can clarify.
I'll try. So, first of all, a question for Tyler, if I may. This contract that we have right now, is it 1 year, or are we looking at multi-years for this one? For the Kayland?
It was a one-off contract.
A one-off contract?
Yeah.
So
Passed by council.
passed by council, for sure. And getting back to your comment, Councillor Johnson, about this, I guess it was just seeking clarification that our anticipated revenue from the tipping fees from the Kayland site, if I'm correct, has already been approved as part of the budget process.
Right.
The amount in its entirety that we were anticipating to realize this year.
Correct.
This year.
In 2026.
But we only have a contract for this 1 year, for the tipping fees, correct? For this one phase. Yeah, okay. Does that clarify things?
Okay.
If I can think of it, is your concern we're spending money we don't have? Are you
No,
worried?
no, not at all. And I know you wouldn't do that.
I'm just trying to.
I just don't, I would like council to have some say. I always call this free money because it's something we have gotten that was unexpected.
Okay.
And I would like council to have some say as to where that money is going to be spent.
So council 100% had their say in where every dollar went through passing of the budget. It's not, you know what I mean? So by passing the budget, council has said, we are going to use this revenue and any other anticipated revenues to buy this piece of equipment, to pave this road, to replace this bridge, to pay these wages. So it's not allocated dollar for dollar. So it's not a dollar from tipping fees that will go to a dollar towards public works equipment. That's just not how the budget works, if I'm getting that.
Okay.
This may be a conversation that could be had at another, I know we don't know what the outcome of the election is going to be, but maybe a conversation that we could have budget time next time round.
Well, of course, yeah, and at any time, if council wants to meet with myself and Brandy, we'll sit down and we'll give you everything that we have. I mean,
No, I'm not accusing
no,
anybody.
and I'm not taking it that way.
accusing anybody
I'm
of
not taking
anything.
it that way, absolutely not. But I want you to be comfortable in the answer we give you. I don't feel you're comfortable yet.
I'm not.
So we will sit down with you and we'll make sure that you're comfortable with the answer that you receive. Does that fair?
I would appreciate that if that is legal
Absolutely.
and above board.
It is absolutely within your purview, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, we'll do that.
Jason, if I may. So a lot of the work that we're doing, we would have never been able to do without this money from this project.
100%.
Or we would have been borrowing money to do this project.
Correct.
We're building a $5.5 million bridge with $2.5 million that provincial gas tax or federal gas tax?
There's a combination of
Of both, yes.
Federal.
Which,
federal.
so that was about half of it. That was about 2.5. So the other 3 million is basically coming out of what we're making on the tipping fees. We bought a $500,000 sewer truck, which basically is coming out of this. These are things that we probably would not have been able to do without sacrificing other things or borrowing money. So to do that bridge and not have to borrow any money is a great thing for Atikokan.
Absolutely. Don't insult
Because-
my intelligence.
I'm not, but when you were questioning where this money was budgeted for, it is these projects around town. That is where this found money is, so we don't have to borrow money, that we can do things without borrowing money, which is an amazing thing for us. Because we haven't borrowed money for years, and we're paying down our debt. And by being able to use this money that we found, or that we realized, is saving us having to borrow money, which is gonna put us in a better position going forward. So that's where we're not, I really don't know. You were in the budget process, and this was money that we used in the budget process, but I think we're just looking at CEO Young's report and any questions on the report.
Excuse me?
Well, this isn't a budget discussion.
I didn't mean it to be. That's not the question I asked.
Okay, well, I'm sorry if I misunderstood your question, Counselor.
And obviously you did, so
Obviously,
I will lay it to rest.
yes. So any more questions or discussion on CEO Young's update? Yes, Counselor Knowles.
Thank you. I'll take it in a little different direction. I'm just curious, looking at the splash pad, I see that the Phase 2 NOHFC application will be submitted. I'm just wondering if that will come to council before it's submitted, or if we'll have a chance to take a look and see. I assume things have kind of progressed since our last discussion about it. We don't have an ad hoc committee anymore. It's just where things are moving and what the scope of that project's going to look like.
Yep, so we're pretty close to being in a position to release the RFP. As promised to council, we'll circulate that before it does get released. So we'll give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions in regards to the RFP. And then right now, just working with Linda and Chris and trying to, the challenge becomes with, and as you know, Councilor Knowles, with Phase 2 applications is they really want the specifics, right? So we're in the process right now of trying to gather those estimates as best we can. We have been in touch with the provincial representative, and they're working with us to make sure that the information that we supply is kind of what they're looking for. And so, yeah, moving forward on that, and no big hurdles quite yet, but council will see the draft RFP as soon as it's ready to be released.
Great, thank you.
Anything else from anybody? Just one comment I'd like to make on the report is things that are getting done in the spring in preparation for the fall, which is great to see. We're not waiting till September to fix the Zamboni, or we're not waiting till October to get the arena going or the curling rink going. So I think the forethought that's going into this is very refreshing, and it'll make things go a lot smoother over the rest of the year. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving on to other business. Seeing no other questions, going on to other business. municipal engagement and regional impact assessment process. Councillor Lyons.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. So I recognize that this request came in a little late and after the agenda deadline, so I do appreciate Council's consideration in adding it this evening. So I'll start with a little bit of a context. The federal impact assessment process is used to review large-scale projects and understand how they may affect the environment, the economy, and communities as a whole. So that includes not just where a project is located, but also nearby communities that could experience those impacts. In this case, the work that is underway for the Nuclear Waste Management Organization's Deep Geological Repository, or DGR, in the Ignis area. So as part of that process, some municipalities have already been identified for engagement. Others, like Atikokan, are not currently listed, but can self-identify if they believe that there are potential for impacts. So that brings us to the purpose for this item. And I want to be clear, this is not about taking a position on NWMO's project or the DGR. It's about making sure Atikokan's included in the process where potential impacts are being identified and studied. So as a municipality, it's our responsibility to plan for our community, and this includes understanding our infrastructure capacity, how our services could be affected, and whether we're prepared for these changes that may come with regional development. It also means considering our overall capacity, potential risks, and long-term sustainability. And because Atikokan is not currently identified in the process, we need to formally self-identify if we want to be included. So at our council meeting following the Committee of the Whole, I'll be presenting a resolution that simply signals that Atikokan may experience regional impacts related to the NWMO's Deep Geological Repository, and that we expect to be engaged in the process, with baseline data and impact assessments conducted to understand how there may be impacts to us and our way of life. So when we talk about impacts, we're talking about practical, day-to-day things that affect how our community functions. Things like housing availability, pressures on infrastructure, demands on healthcare and childcare, workforce changes, and traffic patterns in our area. So these are standard areas that are studied in projects like these, and they are the types of impacts that we want to better understand as a community as a whole. So given our proximity to the Ignis area, I think it's reasonable to expect that there could be some level of regional impacts in those areas. And what we're asking for is straightforward, that these potential impacts be properly studied and that Atikokan is included in that work. So having this information going forward allows us to plan responsibly and ensure our approach is grounded in evidence and not on assumptions. So I must reiterate, the resolution that I'll be presenting does not commit the town to any position on NWMO's project, but simply ensures that we are at the table and informed and able to understand the impacts as they are being assessed.
Councillor? Jason, do you want to?
Yeah, just an add-on to that. I think in this council's quite well aware, and we've had some really good conversations regarding those potential impacts, and I think that I appreciate Councillor Lyons for bringing this forward. I think our community, and it might seem years off, but it'll be here before we know it, and I think that we really have to, as a community, have these discussions and start thinking about how do we position ourselves to best benefit from this project, or at least to be set up to be able to handle the possible pressures that might come from this project. And I think we're starting to have some really good conversations. We've been continuing our conversation with NWMO regarding that, and we think about, you know, upgrades to Highway 622. We think about overflow of workers and goods and services. So I appreciate that, and I think this is a great opportunity to start the conversation both within our community as well as on a federal level regarding the project as well. So I wholly endorse this resolution. Thank you.
Any other comments? Just Councillor Knowles.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Sarah, do we, Councillor Lyons, do we expect to see a impact report that comes out of this, something physical that we can, as a community, use as a tool to tie into our strat planning and official plan?
In response to that, yes, 100%. Through the Fed, all these reports and studies will be, by us raising our hand and saying that we want to be included in the study area, it'll be then legislated to NWMO that all these studies must be conducted, and they'll be available to us for any future planning.
Okay. And I guess my other question is, the deadline is May 10th, so we don't have another committee of the whole or council meeting before then. I'm just curious about the timing and why we're you know, having to do this more reactively than proactively, right before it's due. I don't have a problem with the process per se, but optics-wise, I don't think it's optimal that we're discussing it at the very last minute with the bare minimum of quorum without doing a lot of consultation beyond, you know, a 2-minute discussion at council. So just in the instance of transparency, just ensuring that we're, you know, doing our due diligence on this and making sure, like I said, everything in here, I don't have a problem with it. And I think we are non-committal, but optics-wise, I don't think, you know, it's not the best look when feel like we're ramming it through at the last minute. So just a thought, and you know, potentially something that we'll have to deal with as it happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Knowles. Yes, the optics definitely aren't good. This came to our attention late last week. It's part of the open comment period that the Impact Assessment Agency of Canada has. That's a 30-day comment period. So it started actually April 10th. We found out about it this past week, and just due to the timing of our council meetings, we do need to essentially raise our hand to say that we want to be included in that study area. It does not mean that we are making any commitments anyway, other than that we want it to be recognized that we know there could be potential impacts in our community based on this project.
Any other questions, comments? I'd just like to reiterate that this in no way ties us to any commitment with the NWMO process. The only thing is, if we don't put our hand up now, we can't go back and want to be included in the discussion later. We can always say no. The next council can always say no. The next council after that can always say no. But if we don't do it now, the next council isn't permitted to say yes. Yes, Councillor Lyons.
I think there might be a little bit of a misunderstanding on that. This is specifically for the studies on the impact assessment for the DGR that's occurring right now. It's no, you know, we're not putting our hand up as any sort, or as wanting to be a willing host of any sort of repository. It's simply the studies.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, just to provide further clarity is, unfortunately, there is no yes or no for Atikokan in the sense that the site has been deemed in Ignis, right? Which, again, as their neighboring community, we certainly could feel the impact of that project. And I think that, you know, and I know certainly this council is of that mindset, but future councils are proactive enough to position our community to receive the maximum benefit and go beyond the initial discussions of, well, do we want a DGR, do we not want a DGR? I think it's focusing on being prepared. Thank you.
Yeah. And I would just like to say it's about time that we were recognized in this process. So if council is in agreement, we will have a resolution at the next meeting.
This coming
Today. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our Committee of the Whole meeting. Again, I'd like to thank Jason for all the work he did on, and staff for all the work they did on the Doctor Celebration Day, which was a great thing for our community. And I'd also like to thank council for their participation at the NOMA conference. I think we represented the town of Atikokan very well, so I'd like to thank everybody for that. And with that being said, I'll adjourn the meeting at 5:08 for a 5-minute break.